Welcome to week 6. We have a great matchup here in the Los Angeles Astra playing Arizona Sidewinders. You have Skipper Hammond here with Sam Fontaine.
Hi, folks. We've got a great game set up here for this Sunday afternoon. Both these teams are competing for the second playoff spot in the Southwest Conference. Coming into today, Arizona is 2-4, and Astra are 2-2. This game has pretty big implications for the playoff standings and who's going to get that second spot behind the San Diego Super Bloom.
Absolutely. I think we're also seeing these two teams in maybe different parts of their season where this is Arizona's second to last game of their season, and Astra still has a few games. They're playing in the Wild Wild weekend next weekend, but of course got to get through Arizona first.
Yeah, this game is going to be really important to keep Astra in pole position, in control of their own destiny at the end of the season, I think. A win here today is going to allow them to secure that playoff berth by going undefeated next weekend.
Absolutely. And so here we have the observers meeting with captains in the middle of the field for the coin toss to determine side and possession. I think that's one of the great things we're watching in Ultimate is that friends can be really great opponents, but then also want to greet each other at a warm hug in the middle of the field.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot of connections across these two teams. 4 or 5 Astra players played club in Phoenix last club season, and several Arizona players have played club in California before, so lots of familiar faces and friends across these two rosters.
Absolutely. And I think we're going to see that today on the field, kind of each team anticipating some of the bigger athletes on the other, on the other side. Does look like maybe Arizona won that flip.
It'll be interesting to see how Arizona performs today. They played a game last night against the San Diego Super Bloom. Really a tough loss by, I believe, 6 goals. But really, their coaching staff seemed pretty optimistic today about how the team played and the sort of form that they were bringing to this game.
Absolutely. And it looks like maybe Arizona is opting to play defense first and have LA receive the first pull. I think that's also important to say, too, kind of as you talk about team dynamics, Arizona's, in some sense, a little bit warmed up. You know, they had a game last night, played really tough, competitive match, just came up, a few points shy of a win, whereas Astra is here coming out pretty warm. It looks like some of their sidelines pretty excited about this opportunity to play.
Yeah, it's interesting, these weekends where a team is on a road trip and playing a doubleheader. They are sort of giving up the freshness of their legs, but as you point out, they might be more prepared to perform. For Astra, this is their first day game of the season, I believe, first Sunday game. So maybe something new that they are going to have to mentally get themselves hyped up for. It's not quite the same as playing under the lights.
Sure. Yeah. Speaking of conditions, I mean, we have a beautiful day here in Los Angeles. I feel pretty blessed to live in this part of the country, and we're in I think high 60s, maybe 70 degrees. Some wind, I think, shouldn't be a factor for these caliber of players, but there will be some wind on the turf, and hopefully we'll get to see some of that in action.
Yeah, absolutely. So looking at the Astra roster here, one big name that's missing this week is Camille Wilson, who's been out with an injury for the last few weeks. A captain for this team, a very important player to what they do on offense. She got injured in the second game of the season partway through, but even so, she scored 4 goals and had 3 blocks this season. So that's a big impact player that's not going to be there for Astra.
Absolutely. And I think I know she's here on the sideline. I think she'll be still a big impact, just having to use her voice maybe more than her legs.
Yeah, absolutely.
The teams are setting their lines right now. Astra throwing out a pretty strong, consistent O-line. In Maggie O'Connor, Yen, Ava Hanna, Caitlin Weaver, Sharon Zhang.
So this first poll is going to be brought to you by Discraft, one of our sponsors. So thank you to Discraft, the official disc of the Western Ultimate League, and pretty much the disc that almost everyone plays with everywhere, I think.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. I know that there's some other discs, but Discraft is the one in our hearts.
Well, what are some things that we can be looking for on this first point, Skipper?
I mean, I think Arizona electing to go on defense. I think they might be feeling like their defense is their best chance to kind of potentially get a block early and see what they can do at the disc.
Helen Eifert's going to start us off with the pull here. Eifert's one of the players to watch this week for Arizona. She had multiple blocks against LA last time they played, as well as a stall out on the mark, so she'll be looking to make an impact right away. We got O'Connor to Hannah. LA starting in a host stack, trying to get a pull play. They'll probably transition into vert here in a moment. That's their normal offensive set. Hannah with the disc, just short of midfield. Breaks the mark to Caitlin Weaver.
Up to Chip Yang. Looks like there's a call on the field, though. Possibly a pick call. It does look uninvolved, so it will stay with Yang. I'm sorry, with Yen.
Little trouble with the reset. She gets it off to Hannah for a gainer. Throws it downfield to Childress on the undercut, who continues it up to Sang. We look like we have another stoppage. It's going to be a pick again. Let's see if it's coming back or if it's going to stay with Sang. It's going to stay with Sang, pre-stalling, and the disc is in again. Nice inside shot to O'Connor. Looking for that ISO cut at the front of the stack. Breaks it around to Chip Yin. Back to O'Connor. Working a little give and go here on the end zone line.
Absolutely. Yeah, Yen just looking patiently, finds a cutter in the end zone.
I think that's Brittany Grimshaw. Astra looking really confident on that first 0 point. Good pressure from Arizona, but the Astra offense was patient. Went through their reset progressions with a lot of poise and never really any issues.
Yeah, they looked really confident. I think they weren't afraid to make the throws. They weren't afraid to use the foreside. And, of course, that really nice inside swing, I think, by Sharon Zhang. And then also another one I remember from Ava Hanna that point, kind of getting the disc back to the middle of the field. We'll get a chance to see now Arizona on offense as they set their line to see if they kind of are able to answer that same way.
Chip in there with an assist. I think she's more used to scoring the goals than throwing them.
Absolutely.
For this Astra team, but no complaints there from the Astra fans. Looks like we're going to have Amy Halverson here to pull for Astra, and the disc is up. Caroline O'Connell picking up on the sideline. Looks like Astra's in a little bit of a poachy defense. They find their way off, swinging to the middle of the field.
And Maxfield, just a great receiver in those moments. It does look like LA is playing a sort of junky, kind of poachy defense, leaving some players open, maybe wanting the disc to stay in certain parts of the field. Now Arizona doing a great job swinging it all the way around.
Chip Chang.
To the end zone. Oh, but just a little bit short, not able to bring that in. Gazelle there and just going to start playing defense now.
Halverson picking up for Astra. Let's see if they can get it off this trap sideline. Throws the inside to Agawa. Upline to Helm. Looking at her reset. Things are getting clogged up. And there's a collision there. It looks like no foul call, so that's going to be a turnover, and it's going to be Sidewinders disc.
Yeah, it looks like maybe there's some confusion there between the two Astra players. Chip Chang just taking a second to pick up, letting the offense kind of settle.
Chang and Applegate in the backfield for Sidewinders. You're going to see them back there all day. They're both the leading and throwing yards for Arizona. Nice bid from maybe Halverson.
Paige Applegate there to kind of pick up that swing.
Swings it to O'Connell. Long swing, too far for Applegate and out of bounds. Or not quite out of bounds, but a turnover. Hanny Pagella picking up. Throws it to Martinez, who dishes it to Cam Helm. Helm's going to take the shot. There's a help defender coming off the back. See if she can connect with Agawa. She does.
Great grab.
What a grab from Agawa. Connects with Bile near the goal line. Centers to Brown. And to Agawa for the score.
You know, I think when you have a great play like that, you know, kind of sandwiched between two players, you deserve to get that score as well.
Absolutely. I like the decision there from Helm. She maybe didn't see that that help defender in her peripherals and let that Sidewinder player get in there in a 2-on-1 against Agawa, but know your receiver and throw it up where only the tall athlete can get it, right?
Absolutely. And this is maybe a little bit of, you know, can't tell if it's the wind, but a great grab, great vision to kind of look upfield. And then go to the end zone and try to score for your team. Nice little celebration there by Brown.
If you're Astra, you got to really like the way that you converted there. You get that huck near the goal line. Usually that can be a place where some unfortunate turnovers can happen as your players cycle into your red zone set. They worked quickly and created a lot of space for each other to score the goal before the Arizona defense could really get back in the picture. Arizona centers it to Chang. Coming out in a hoe stack. They're swinging to the sideline to Dunn.
Now towards the close sideline, Garrett has it, dishes it up to Applegate. Applegate thinks about it, does a fake, sings it to the middle of the field now.
Landry dishes it to Chang. Looks off and deep cut from Garrett, back to Applegate. Nice inside shot to K-Spa, number 99. Let's see if Arizona can get transitioned into their red zone set here.
About 21 yards out on the field. A little dish I'm sorry. K-Spa looking, throws a fake, and a pretty easy score to Applegate.
It's a good answer by Arizona. I think they've got to be pleased with the way their O-line is looking in these first two opportunities. Even though they got broken on that first offensive point, they had a wide open deep cut. And a great throw to Gazelle, who just maybe dropped it. A little bit of the drops is on that first offensive chance. But their offense looks smooth. They're seeming fairly unaffected by the Astra defense right now. Let's see this end zone look again.
And a very nice, like, upline, you know, kind of caught their defender on their back feet and took the space there.
If you're thinking about the sort of strategy here, Astra is going to really want to be obviously trying to hold this, but they want to get it. They probably want to get another break to sort of seal that downwind break that they got on that first offensive point for the Sidewinders. Swift centers to O'Connor. Isolate Childress on the break side, who then centers it. A little bit of contact there on Yin. Breaks the mark to Grimshaw. Grimshaw back to Yin. Centers to O'Connor. Back to Yin. Over to Grimshaw on the close sideline. O'Connor striking up line. LA in the red zone here. Let's see some patience from them.
And
nice
a great shot upfield.
Looks like there's a stall called.
You know, here I think it's a good reminder to say 7 seconds is kind of the stall count. And I shouldn't say kind of, that is the stall count. And it is kind of fast when you have the disc in your hand and you're looking for options.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, this is really a similar situation to Astra's last score. It's gonna be upheld, or it's gonna be overturned, and the goal is going to be upheld there. But Astra runs into a little bit of trouble there, right? That moment where you get a big gainer and you're transitioning into your red zone. Sometimes that stall can creep up before you even get a chance to look at your reset, and it almost burned them there.
Absolutely. Something to consider. I think we saw in the last time the LA was down in this end zone, they had a couple of kind of clear options. But when it isn't there, you know, what they might want to do there might depend on where their personnel is. But definitely that swing option. But this time it worked out for them. Absolutely.
Well, both teams' offenses are looking pretty similar so far, starting with some horizontal stack pull plays, spreading those cutters across the field to create a lot of space, and then transitioning into a vert stack base for the most part to despite the similarities in structure, I think they play pretty different styles. Arizona's got these dominant handlers in Chang, Applegate, and O'Connell. A lot of the throwing chunk yards come from those 3 players, whereas Astra are sort of working through the hybrid cutters a little bit more. Let's see what Arizona does this time, coming out in that horizontal stack again. O'Connell's got the disc on the far sideline, centers it.
On a round throw, kind of almost over the defender. And LA coming out again in this kind of junk set. Maxfield in the middle of the field finds Chang.
Over to Garrett on the close sideline, finds a wide open Gazelle who dishes to Chang.
It does look like maybe LA is now transitioning into a person defense. Landry up to the end zone. Oh, and a great grab there.
That's Garrett there for the score. Yeah. Halverson almost got the block.
And then if you're LA, if you're Arizona, excuse me, you have to be fired up for your team making kind of big plays in that close quarters.
You can see the angle here sort of lets the defender back in, right? It's that flaring diagonal away cut that the throw has to be really precise. Garrett does a great job of going up contested and bringing it down.
Absolutely. And just the kind of the size difference, the height difference between these two, and still being able to make a big play like that. Amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. Great celebration, too. The volleyball spike. You love to see it. These teams are looking pretty evenly matched so far. Both offensive lines are looking very poised.
A deep pull for Arizona here, all the way back to LA's defending end zone.
Connor had the disc centered, swung it to the sideline to Grimshaw, who hits Weaver on the break side. Nice gaining dish pass to O'Connor. Back to Weaver in the middle of the field. Over to Grimshaw. They've transitioned to that vert now. Weaver's got an option deep. She's not going to take that one.
Not quite in.
Ooh.
Pritchard's going to tap it on the sideline, or tap it on the end zone line, excuse me. Sees Weaver for the dish. And back up, fights for that space in the end zone. Weaver to Pritchard score.
Well, that was my mistake. I can't believe I thought Caitlin Weaver was going to holster a huck. That's not really something she does, I can tell you from experience. She throws a dime out there to space for Pritchard and then works back and forth with her for that nice, easy goal.
College students, sign up at the merch tent for a throwing competition at halftime. Longest throw, accuracy challenge, make a field goal.
You see here the two of them, work together to make sure that this goal's in.
$1 for one ticket or $10 for 11. Another great deal.
LA set here now for next defensive point. Looks like Naomi Guzman set to pool for LA. And there seems to be kind of a calm focus, you can kind of sense from both sides of the field now.
This is a lot cleaner of a game than the first time these teams met this season, where I believe the final score was something like 11-10, maybe a little higher than that, but not many points scored. We're looking like we're going to have a little bit of a higher scoring game today if this keeps up.
And that might come down, for fans of the WUL, point diff was to Arizona's advantage last year when it came down to who was making championship weekend. And so while it might seem, silly to want to put more, or not seem as important, sometimes it will come down to how many points are scored. Arizona making quick work of this point, able to get about 10 yards outside of their end zone quite quickly. Now throw to the end zone, and it looks like, not called in yet. Landry with a little left-handed backhand, and will make it in for number 42, Gazelle.
Number 10, Laura Landry.
Arizona made really quick work of the LA defense that time. Their set play off the pole gained them massive chunk yardage on the first few throws, and they were basically in their red zone set right off the bat. Salustro and Landry really did a lot of work that point. with Gazelle with a nice finish on that lefty dish.
And I think points like that are what's going to keep Arizona in this game. And second assist by Landry there, kind of keeping Arizona in this game.
Get your juice and gloves, y'all.
Lippincott with the pull for Arizona. It's going to be coming off in just a few seconds. Pull's going to land just out of bounds, so Astra's going to have the disc in the center of the field. Looks like it's going to be Ava Hanna picking up. And again, you can see Astra in this sort of spread stack. It's almost like a split stack with the two players on the far sideline hugging, and they're trying to isolate to Childress. But Cody Lippincott with a huge layout block on the first pass. Goes straight to the end zone.
Oh,
with
and a
huge grab for the
diving
score.
layout score. We had talked about rewarding players for doing great deeds, and Arizona said, thank you. Thank you, Lippincott. We'll give you a score.
You may remember Cody Lippincott, her highlight layout goal from the Winter Cup a couple of seasons ago. She's really a human highlight reel. This season, she's been playing on the D-line and making huge plays like this all season long. This is the same initiating play that Astra have run quite a few of their offensive points, and it seems like the Sidewinders have seen it one too many times and read it like a book. Lippincott had 11 blocks coming into the game today. Adds a 12th there. One of the biggest block getters for this Arizona team with the incredible catch to get the bookends.
Absolutely. And just focus on both ends of that play, right? To get the D and then to go score it for your team. And now we're back to a tied game.
Nice punch back from Arizona. Let's see how LA responds here. Sticking with mostly the same line, it seems. They're a little stuck here right off the bat. O'Connor goes up line to Weaver. Those two are just playing a little bit of catch, isolated in the handler space. Dishes it to Childress. Close to the red zone now. Swings it to O'Connor, just too far. She can't quite reach it, and Arizona's got another chance.
Steiner to pick up for Arizona. Finds a quick dish in Dunn. Dunn now looking for a reset. Steiner's up there. A great gainer there to Trepp. A disc that's a little bit high and easily recovered by LA. LA will now get a chance, but they're pretty deep into their field. They'll have most of the 80 yards to go now.
Grimshaw with about a 20-yard gainer to Childress on the under. Childress looking around. Swings it to Grimshaw. Nice break to Weaver to punish the poaching defender in the open side lane. And O'Connor's going to shoot. She's got Yin with space. Disc is floating just too far.
And I think we talk about players to kind of watch for. If you've been watching LA, not too many people can overshoot Yin, but every once in a while.
O'Connor's a player whose role has changed some from last season for LA. Still playing a really integral role, but more situated in the backfield this year. Doing more damage as a thrower and gaining a little bit less receiving yards. Still scoring a lot of goals, though. Eifer's got the disc on the close sideline. Swings it to Steiner. Over to Dunn in the middle of the field.
Arizona doing quick work to kind of use the width of the field and then now attacking downfield.
Nice up line from Steiner. Resetting.
Oh, a great grab there by Petty. Oh, and a timeout called.
So this is really our first long slog of a point this game. And I think you can see a couple of the issues that these teams have. Both really rely on this vert stack. And with that 7-second stall that you mentioned earlier, Skipper, I think if those resets aren't rushing to get into position early, there's a really good chance of losing too many yards on these resets and disconnecting from the stack, having that stack too far downfield where there aren't really any viable cuts for throws to look to. it seemed like both teams were maybe getting a little bit stuck in those reset spaces.
Absolutely. And you know, I think that could be a little bit of fatigue, maybe a little bit of wind, and just wanting to make sure you trust your throws. With this timeout, we'll most likely see a change of personnel, which maybe will help with that first factor of fatigue. One of the nice things about timeouts here is that you can change your lineup however you as a coach sees fit, to kind of bring in some extra legs. And now it looks like LA reset to their maybe a more defensive line, and Arizona bringing in some of their big throwers in their offensive line.
Yeah, it almost seems like a sort of hybrid line for Arizona. You're right. They've got some of those offensive handlers, but a couple of those D-line players staying out, Lippincott and Dunn and Eifert. And those are players that flex on offense and defense for this team. Really, just three of their most well-rounded, accomplished players.
And I think you can tell. We're about a minute left in this quarter, and Arizona realizes this point kind of gives them up a break if they're able to kind of capitalize on this opportunity. No surprise they put out a powerhouse line for their team. Oh, and just through the hands of Chang, gives LA another chance.
Pagella's going to work quick. Throws it to Halverson in the middle of the field. Dumps it back to Helm. And Helm is hand blocked by Dunn. Disc back to Arizona, and Applegate's picking up quickly. Eifert's got space up line. Bile tries to close the distance but can't quite make it.
And a crossfield throw to Dunn, and it is captured. Arizona now up a break. They started on defense. LA feeling a little defeated, but I think they have some all-line offensive players now walking to the line and getting ready for the next point. Great save here, and then this was just through the fingers.
Little miscue.
Then you'll see Melissa Dunn kind of ready for that on the mark, and then Dunn will be rewarded. We talked about this. You make a great play, your team wants to thank you for this crossfield throw. Defense not able to kind of capture that space quick enough.
Really textbook there by Eifert to punish the defender really committing for that block and taking herself out of position to set the mark. It's a really risky move there by Bile, and she's usually going to get those, but when she doesn't, it's going to open you up to really get hurt on those breakside looks. I think really some of those issues there were related to the resets again. Helm got hand blocked, but she was pretty stranded there. Pagella's cut to the breakside was really the only option she had. Let's see if Astra can clean it up. Pagella centers to Hannah. Throws wide to Childress. Up to Weaver. O'Connor's pushed downfield now. Hannah's going up line. She's got space to O'Connor. She's going to take the shot.
A great grab with pressure from O'Connor. A little head celebration spike there, bringing LA back to 5-5. I think when you look at this league, I think almost the end of this quarter, tied game. I think this is what you want. It's what you want for a Sunday.
Absolutely. I love the counter by LA. It might have just been organic or it might have been planned, but to send O'Connor downfield when she's been in the handler space most of the game and lets her make a play like this.
And Merrick's close by. It's a contested throw for sure. Just not able to make up as much space. O'Connor easily two-hand grab up there. Now, as we come to the end of this quarter, it's good to remind our viewers that the rules for the WUL is that at the end of the quarter, whoever has possession can play out that possession. So assuming that Arizona is able to kind of keep the disc in their hands for these next 16 seconds, they'll be able to keep the disc in their possession until they score or if there's a turnover. Likewise, if LA can make a quick turn, they'll get a chance to play. Oh, and almost there, but able to recover it was K-Spa.
K-Spa on the close sideline, centers to Chang. The buzzer just went, so Arizona's going to have the last possession here. It's either a goal or a turn is going to end the quarter. Nice inside backhand break, floating out to space for Garrett.
Oh, and a great bid, just not able to close in.
Couldn't quite get there. And we're going to end this first quarter all tied up at 5-5. Great match so far between these two teams fighting for that second playoff spot.
Great inside shot again from Arizona, and just not able to kind of, you're there. Everything was right. Just not able to kind of bring it in.
I believe that was Salustro with the throw there.
So we have a few minutes before the teams kind of get back on the field. I think, again, if you're a fan of Ultimate, this is the game you wanted. Two teams really fighting for their season in different ways, but know that this game, this potential win is really important for their season, and I think we're seeing it on the field.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the implications of this result are huge for the Southwest Conference. If LA wins, I believe they're going to be in second place in the conference, which they were coming into today at 3-2. And Arizona is going to be dropped down to last place at 2-5 in a pretty deep hole if they're going to try to make the playoffs this season. Their fate will be out of their hands if they lose this game, I think. But if Arizona can pull off the win here today, then they'll have the second most wins in the conference and put themselves in a decent spot where if they can beat San Francisco in their last game of the season, they'll put a lot of pressure on LA and San Francisco when they go and visit Utah next weekend.
Absolutely. And still important games, to be had outside of this one, but I think this one does feel important for both these teams.
Take a look at college coaches from Astra, Annie Padilla and Haley Weaver.
It did. It seemed like as the fatigue maybe started to kick in a little bit towards the end of that first quarter, we started to see these teams execute their systems at a little bit of a less consistent level. Some more system-based errors, I think, and it'll be interesting to see if they can sort of clean those up and push through it as the sun starts to wear them down a little bit as this game goes on. It's nice and cool up here in the booth for us, but it was quite hot down on the turf today.
Absolutely.
And Malia Smith, UCLA Midas.
So Astra's set to pull here. Arizona's going to be receiving and going towards that slightly upwind end zone here to start the second quarter. See which team's going to set the tone for this second quarter here. Halverson with the pull, and it's up. You can kind of see with how these pulls are flying. It's the pull was just thrown mostly downwind, but there's also a slight crosswind pushing it towards that far corner of the field, near where Chip Chang is standing on the far upper right side of your screen right now. Looks like Applegate's going to start with the disc centered, and Arizona's coming out in a horizontal set.
I can't tell if maybe there was an offsides on the pull, or maybe the disc, as a disc is coming to the center of the field now.
Yeah, you're right. It might have been offsides there. Martinez on the mark. A little bit of a junky D. You can see Audrey Brown there with her back turned to the thrower some here, really just checking for those up-the-gut threats. It looks like Arizona's staying patient. Landry's got the disc on the close sideline, and Helm is chasing. Looks like maybe she's the permanent mark here in this junk set. Or it might be more of a 2-3-2, actually. It looks like Pagella's forcing the other way.
A little floaty disc, but Chang able to bring it in.
Looks like they're transitioning out into person now. Nice lefty from Chang. Oh, and Helm with the huge D. She's picking up on the sideline, and she's going to shoot immediately.
Agawa's in the area, but so is Landry. It looks like it was a grab, but it looks like maybe out of bounds.
They look pretty close. I don't mind that look from Helm there. Why not take a shot before the defense gets set? Disc centered.
Looking like LA is going to stay with their person defense now that they've transitioned out. Applegate looking upfield, finds Maxfield. Maxfield looking for Applegate again. Another lefty. Seen a lot of those lefty throws on Showcase today.
Yeah. Nice inside to Maxfield.
It's like Maxfield and Applegate are kind of playing back and forth together.
Centers to Landry. To Applegate.
And Landry having kind of a quietly great game. Just 2 assists already this game. No surprise by this player, but just, I think sometimes you're not the flashy thrower. Looks like there's a call on the field.
Yeah, maybe a pick call here. Landry's one of those workhorse cutters who's just going to keep running all day long and cut to smart spaces over and over again and really put pressure on the defense.
Disc up. Able to find Chang. Oh, a hammer. Able to find Maxfield.
What a great throw from Chang. Really showing off the hammer there.
And it looks like we got some celebration, too, from the Arizona team. Chang with the lefty. Up to Maxfield. You'll see that again later on this point. Maxfield finding, yes, the nice D. It was a quick.
Maxfield gets a piece of this here. Maxfield tips that disc. Might have been just the little bit that it needed to keep it out of bounds. Let's see if Agawa was in. Nope, on the line. Great call from our observer.
Chang says, okay, I'll find you. A little crossfield hammer action, and Brown just not able to close that distance again. But you'll see that the Astra's putting on pressure each time, just not able to kind of close that gap.
O'Connor's going to center it to Hannah. They're in that split sec again with Childress and Weaver and plenty of space. Floats one out into traffic. Childress comes down with it.
Childress looks upfield, finds Hannah.
She's got Weaver going deep. Looks it off. Swings to O'Connor on the sideline. O'Connor centers it to Grimshaw. Finds Sang on a nice under. She's going to bounce it to Grimshaw. Swing to Caitlin Weaver on a well-timed continuation cut. A little bit of pressure on the reset, and Grimshaw gets it. High stall. Weaver's got it again. This reset system's looking a little bit tight right now, but they break out of it to Hannah. It looks like there's a call, and it's coming back. So I think a couple times here, the resets didn't quite get into a good position early, and it led to this higher pressure situation for the thrower.
Or very much like this trust throw kind of action where Weaver said, okay, I got to trust that you're going to get to this space. Which that time worked out, but you're right. Something that we'll kind of take a look at for the rest of the game for LA.
Nice cut by Hannah.
Pre-stall is a great kind of addition to this WUL rules where you can start to move and get in position before the disc is tapped in, allowing kind of players to get kind of start moving.
This is looking like some textbook end zone offense right now from Astra.
Go back and forth, Weaver to O'Connor. Back to Weaver, back to O'Connor.
There's two sequences in that red zone set there that basically look like how you would run drills for your team at practice, where Weaver gets the blow-by cut straight behind the thrower and continues it downfield to Childress on a nice breakside cut. And then for the goal, it's just a nice back and forth. So we got this trust throw that you mentioned to Grimshaw. Weaver just reads what the defender's taking away and gives and goes when they overcommit to the break side for the score.
And Eifert doing a great job there of reading kind of what's going to happen. Is originally guarding O'Connor, but kind of does leave O'Connor to see if a pick D could happen, and just such speedy throws there by Maggie and Weaver that's just not able to get through.
Yeah, really good at defensive instincts to pull that switch when the other defender overcommitted. You're right.
Is Amy Halverson.
Pull is up. Applegate's going to center to Chang. LA looks like they're coming down in a little bit of a junk defense. And he knows in a 2-on-1 here, though, there must be some error in spacing or the assignments there, as Sidewinders work it pretty easily. The first 2/3 of the field. K-Spa to Landry. Dishes it to Chang. Back to Applegate. Nice inside shot to Maxfield. She's working to get the disc right back. Applegate now has it. Nice
swing.
Yeah, trust throw to Chang. Just too high for K-Spa.
But the right movement. I mean, Arizona's doing a great job of making sure you can kind of see Applegate using little head nods to kind of move the offense, and great spacing, just an unfortunate error. A low throw. Oh, wasn't able to pick it up by No. Giving Arizona a very short field here. Applegate to pick up.
She's going to break it around to Maxfield for the goal. That's a tough spot to be in if you're that ISO defender. I think you'd like to see maybe a little bit of help defense there right on the end zone line. Guarding that ISO on an island is pretty much impossible, especially when it's as quick of a cutter as Maxfield.
Yeah. And it almost looked like they'd almost sent two with Chang there too, so I wasn't sure there was a little bit of kind of confusion, or if that was just a deception move of who's guarding who.
Yeah. Look at this trust throw from Applegate to Chang.
And then just right there, just not able to bring it in.
You know, it's a first throw turnover from Astra here, but I like what they tried to do. They set up in a horizontal stack when they were on that sideline instead of their normal vert, and they just ran an immediate strike cut from the handler to let someone downfield fill. And the throw wasn't executed well, but you have to like sort of in theory what their strategy is there. Get a nice easy centering pass.
Yep. LA looking to counter. Pritchard in the backfield this point, centers to O'Connor.
That same split stack, you can see Yin and Yang are hugging that sideline.
Swift back on the field. LA missing Swift for a couple games, but they're glad to have Riley Swift back. Centering it to Swift now. To Pritchard. A low throw, able to get out, it looks like. And Felicia Yang able to, it looks like maybe an injury call here.
I really like how Astra structured this play right off the bat. They've had this split stack with Childress and Weaver in the ISO space with the other two cutters hugging the sideline, and they've been looking to Weaver and Childress pretty much every time. But this time they attack to that normally dead side of those two on the sideline, and they let Yin and Yang work it up the field.
Absolutely. And we'll keep a kind of an eye on number 16, Sam Malin, to see if they make it back on the field.
Hopefully they're all right. Swift looks off Weaver, hits her late. She swings to O'Connor and is following up line. Nice switch by Eifert. Oh, and a tight inside. Steiner's picking up. To Dunn. Space throw to Eifert. Centers to Lippincott. Dishes it to Dunn, and she throws a nice flick to the end zone, but just too far.
And Trepp does a really good job of trying to kind of toe it in. Had a lot of yards for most of that point, and just kind of found that player a little bit late. Arizona finds that player a little bit earlier, and it's a score for Tripp, I'm sure. Here we go. The nice effort, trying to keep the toes in and grab the disc, and both those things are hard to do sometimes.
Nice inside from O'Connor to Childress to get the offense started. Swift is stuck, and maybe a little bit of a panicked high stall throw there.
So Powell able to kind of come down with that D pretty easily, and then kind of help their offense swing or set up the rest of it. Arizona now swinging the disc. Eifert looking upfield.
Sounds like a timeout.
This will be Arizona's maybe the last of the half, with each team getting 2 per half. Again, I think we look at this score, Arizona up by 1. This might be another chance where they're trying to put a little bit of pressure on LA to kind of come up with a couple more points before the end of this half.
I think if you're LA, the 2 turnovers on this point are maybe a little bit concerning. Both seemed that they were high stall, no option type decisions, where the player with the disc didn't feel that they had any good options to throw to and made a choice that maybe was suboptimal, right? It's sort of what we talked about earlier, right? Getting in those reset positions earlier, and as a thrower, looking at those resets at 2 or 3 in the count, so that you don't end up in these situations. It might have something to do with them staying in this horizontal stack a little bit longer than normal. Maybe they're a little bit out of sync with getting into the right spots early enough.
I suppose LA's first point of attack will have to be to get the turn and see if they can then execute some of that motion on offense. Arizona now setting up their offense.
Looks like maybe a classic O-line with just Dunn staying out there from the D-line, if I'm not mistaken. And Astra going to that more traditional D-line like they did last time.
Applegate with a quick inside break. A floaty throw, but able to come down. Garrett now back to Applegate. To Dunn. To Landry. And usually Landry's throwing the assist this game, but not against catching them as well. Arizona now up 2 with 3 minutes and 30 seconds left in this half.
Good use of a timeout there if you're going to convert a break off of it. Really smooth offense, attacking that inside space.
And I think LA had been, we're going out backhand that point. So not LA or Arizona taking advantage of that kind of one break at a time.
There's a little bit of a disconnect there from Applegate for a moment, but when you have such a seasoned handler like Applegate, they can just make something happen for you, even when there's a lot of space between them and the cutters.
Oh my gosh. To be young again.
Let's see if Astra can bounce back here. Looks like more of a flex line from Astra. They've got a couple players over from D, Hanny Pagella, Audrey Brown switching over, it looks like, and then some of their more regular O players. Hannah's going to pick up with a flat mark. And immediately is going to shoot to Weaver. Not quite in the end zone. She's going to throw a push pass behind O'Connor, and it's going to be a turn. Eifert's picking up quickly, centers the disc to Powell. Back to Eifert on the close sideline.
Oh, and a dish pass just was a little bit too far there for Powell. LA kind of giving this a little gift of a shorter field. O'Connor set to pick up. LA able to convert there. O'Connor back to Hannah.
Nice little stop disc play on the end zone. You can see Weaver go break side right off the bat. 2 in the stack goes live side, and then Hannah from 3 just cuts straight towards the disc.
Did you know that Maggie O'Connor is an expert marksman for the military?
So here's that first big throw. We were able to kind of able to get the disc, just not in the end zone. Finally does connect. Not that point. And Arizona just moving a little bit too fast there. Looks off Weaver, looks off Yen. Able to get Hannah right there in the middle.
Did you know that
And I think when you're talking about Maggie O'Connor, definitely one of the players from LA to watch, you're kind of seeing her ability to be both the thrower and the receiver, active in many of LA's points yet today. Big throw from LA is going to stay in bounds.
It's like O'Connell centers it to Chang. Nice under flare cut to K-Spa. Pumps Garrett. She's a little bit stranded here. Throws a nice inside to Chang, who goes low to save it. Oh, and a high stall punt to nobody. Chang makes probably a good decision there. She didn't have any easy looks, and instead of turning it over at half field, at least takes a shot and gives her team field position.
And really forces LA to, again, have to go the full 80 yards here to score. Clem in the middle of the field. Clem's first game with LA today, we were told by coaches this season. Oh, and a tight window. There might be a call. So we see Bile try to dish up to Guzman and just a collision there. Looks like they are going to observers for this call.
Looks like there might be a card on this play.
And so yes, does look like there's a yellow card here for this kind of maybe style of play. I imagine Guzman would be set to pick up.
It seemed like Garrett was just trying to stay over top of Guzman there to basically, if she was going to get the disc, it was going to be out of power position, but maybe got a little too physical there, climbing on her back. Speaking
of power position, Agawa sending one deep to no able to kind of gather that in. Oh, but a quick turnover again.
And that's K-Spa, number 99 with the hand block, I believe.
Arizona quick to pick up Garrett. Under to K-Spa. K-Spa taking a moment.
Swing to the far side to Chang. Back to K-Spa in the middle of the field. To Garrett. And she's going to shoot to Gazelle, who has space. And the big target, Kez Gazelle, is going to come down with the score.
And Arizona feeling like they have some momentum now. I mean, up by 2, definitely anyone's game, but I think in the last few points, definitely feeling like Arizona's taking a little command of this game. We'll get to see this point again. This power position throw. Great grab, kind of great focus.
Akil Nori, Sam Hishore, Dylan Fox,
K-Spa kind of able to read that throw and shut that down.
Mateo Dominguez and Will Wyman.
Nice step out, it's kind of fake. Gazelle right there.
Gazelle, the former D1 soccer goalie who's transitioned to Ultimate recently, and she might be fairly new to the game, but you can tell that she understands the spacing of the field really well already, and clearly is a little bit hard to keep up with.
Yeah, I think definitely when you look at some of these talented players, you definitely tell there's some splices of other sports, soccer being a good one for seeing that spacing. LA to receive, looks like it went out of bounds, right about half field.
O'Connor's going to have the disc to start. You can see LA's in that same familiar split stack with Pritchard and I believe that's Sang hugging the sideline. Weaver and Childress out with plenty of space to work.
And here we're coming about 40 seconds out of halftime. LA wanting to convert if possible, but Steiner says, actually, no thank you. I'm going to get that disc. Steiner takes a second, goes back to pick up. And so similar rules as last quarter. Whomever has the disc in possession when it hits 0-0 will get a play out if assuming that there's no turnover or goal.
Nice cut from Shelby Petty.
A floaty throw. And it looks like a player is able to get that. Is that K-Spa? No.
I think it's Sam Milan.
We were worried about Milan, and great to see that she's back on the field and catching scores for Arizona.
The Astra defenders just didn't have their eyes to that disc, and the Arizona players did, so they were able to come down with it. You can see Pritchard only sees it late because she's positioned well and has her eyes on the person she's defending, but the receiver gets the jump on it and gets good body position and makes the play. I mean, Arizona's, I think, countering Astra pretty well right now and making them go to their plan B on offense and are generating some turns from it. We've seen Astra come out in that split stack almost every point, and Arizona is coming out in some defensive looks with junk, reading the plays, basically making it hard on Astra to actually get big chunk yards out of that initiating set play, and clearly causing some turnovers and some miscommunications for Astra that they're taking advantage of.
In all of that, it looks like Astra's kind of having some confidence still in their O-line, sending out their traditional O-line now. Pulls up. And now we're down to 0-0. So this will be the last possession of this half. And what's nice about this is there is no, outside of the 7-second stall, there is no pressure to score fast or quickly. You can continue to kind of move the disc as you need to, and it looks like LA is doing just that.
Yeah, so Arizona comes out in this zone again to get LA out of the pull play, but this time the poise is there, you're right, and they're being patient and finding those holes as of now. Pagella to Weaver, swings it to O'Connor, bounces it to Weaver, swings to Pagella.
Pagella with a great little hop there to make sure to secure it in. Pagella looking for a teammate. Yeah, there you go, and Hannah. Arizona seems content right now. It looks like they are maybe transitioning into a person defense as they get further down the field.
Swings to Chip Yin, over to O'Connor on the sideline. She bounces it back to Yin, who gives it to Pagella.
Oh, and there's just some miscommunication. And that will be it for this half. You have Arizona 10, LA 7. Tons of great highlights. I think for each team, no one person is dominating. You've seen some consistent players able to kind of consistently do the things that they're good at. And I think we'll see more of that in the next half.
Yeah, absolutely. Astra's got some work to do to pull themselves out of this hole, and Arizona's going to try to keep up that momentum that they've built here towards the end of the second quarter.
So we'll be back at the action in a little bit. Enjoy halftime. I know we will, and we'll see you back in just a few.
We believe that women and non-binary athletes deserve to be seen and our abilities showcased for the world to see.
We believe in perpetuating Ultimate by establishing professional teams and developing future generations of players.
We believe players of all identities and backgrounds deserve an equal opportunity to be recognized and lauded for our achievements in our sport.
We believe in sustainably and responsibly creating equitable and accessible avenues for women and non-binary athletes to join and participate in our sport.
We believe that being transparent,
open,
and responsive to criticism is critical,
and that there should always be space
to fix our mistakes,
grow, and be better.
We are the Western Ultimate League.
want to show young girls that they can be athletes too. I've struggled with imposter syndrome, and I've really had to ground myself in why I play. I play because it's fun. I like to compete. I like to show it with my teammates. I like to push myself to be the best. And I think being out there and doing that for them and having other people see and potentially think that, hey, that can be me one day, that's really exciting.
I know I've struggled in my own life to take up space, and I think that it's so amazing that the ultimate field has changed that for me. That I can get out there and I'm no, I know I am a good cutter and I know what I need to do here and I know my role on the team. And I think that it's just helped me open up so much. It's also led to more confidence for myself. And I really want for other women and non-binary folk to see that, oh, they're out there doing this. How do I get into that? What does that look like? What's my role there?
I really liked a combination of both endurance and shorter, more competitive sprints, and then also going up directly against players. And I think that also is what attracted me to Ultimate as well. Understanding what you're capable of doing is just a really great experience that kind of drives you to just get better at those individual skills in sports.
My Ultimate story, I've been fortunate to have coaches and friends and the community to encourage me to be the player that I am today and ultimately fall in love with the sport of Ultimate. So I hope that the Western Ultimate League, like this program we have today, the Open Side, we continue to connect and welcome new fans and future players and continue growing this community that we all love. I think hopefully one day that someone will fall in love with the sport as much as I love it.
I think that's the biggest thing for me, is just knowing that we're giving an opportunity and visibility to the sport for young women. It's the best thing.
One more time.
Oh,
yeah! Oh yeah!
Baby!
Cody! Up here. I got Sophie along with me. We just want to read you something. At our last home game, we spoke to you about the rise in anti-trans legislation across the U.S. Astra continues to stand against all legislative action seeking to limit any person's basic human rights and dignity. We want to acknowledge the work done by Super Bloom player Penny WUL and her call to action a few weeks ago. Within a couple days, thousands of dollars were raised for various organizations across the country. We want to continue to urge all of Astra's fans to donate their time, voices, and money to supporting and protecting the rights of our trans community members.
Because it is college night, we want to address the students who came out to support us. We are so happy to see College Ultimate thriving in Southern California. As college athletes, you are able to set the tone for what the Ultimate community will be going forward. As you build your programs, we want to challenge you to think about what you are doing to make your team an inclusive space for all athletes. We wish all of our college athletes the best of luck heading into your postseason tournaments and hope you enjoy the rest of the game.
Hello, welcome back from halftime in this game between the Arizona Sidewinders and Los Angeles Astra. I'm joined here with Skipper, and we are excited to bring this second half to you.
Yeah, both teams looking poised over their halftime break to kind of come out strong. LA down a few points and again a little bit of ground to make up, but Arizona again looking really kind of towards the end of that last half, looking really strong, able to kind of rattle off a few breaks right in a row, and kind of throw a little bit of a wrench in LA's plans.
It'll be interesting to see what LA does here starting the third quarter on offense, since they were having some issues with the different junk and zone looks that Arizona was throwing at them. Let's see if they can adjust.
Carly Steiner with the pull.
A great pull here by Arizona, even beyond where LA thought it was going to land.
Centers to Hannah in that split stack again. Swings it to O'Connor. Swings it to the middle of the field to Grimshaw, I believe, who dishes through to Caitlin Weaver. Back to Grimshaw. It looks like a bit of a 2-3-2 zone here from Arizona, perhaps. Astra's going to probably try to get some dish passes that generate momentum through that first layer of the defense so that they can have a mismatch and a numbers advantage downfield. Weaver has the disc, centers to Grimshaw, all the way to Hannah. Who then gains to Sang, swings it to Chip Yin, back to Sang. Getting close to half field now.
And LA not really afraid to go to the far sidelines, kind of comfortable swinging it all the way across, changing kind of where the defense, just a high throw. And
Chip Yin with a great catch.
Chip Yin with a great grab. Kind of focus on the distance. Actually, still ours. It looks like a call on the field.
Chip Yin saves possession. I mean, those are the kinds of plays where, execution errors are going to happen, and having those players downfield who can make up for those mistakes with incredible catches are a huge advantage for a team. I mean, she has no business coming down with this disc. High points it, goes up clean, and saves possession for Astra.
Absolutely. I think Steiner, number 4 for Arizona, is a little surprised it wasn't in her hands.
And we're back in play here.
So Grimshaw has a disc on a slightly trapped side. Arizona looks like they have transitioned to a person defense. O'Connor looking for an option, kind of trusting Yen again, but just not able to get there this time. Eifert had something to say about that one.
Again, it seems perhaps like that was a high stall, pressured throw that O'Connor probably wouldn't have chosen to throw otherwise. There just seems to be some reset issues for Astra here. Let's see if they can work them out. But now Arizona disc, Steiner has it in the middle of the field.
Looking for options, able to find one. Oh, and a great bid attempt by O'Connor, just not able to come down with it.
Swings to Steiner, up to Petty on the break side, continues upfield. That's to Melissa Steller. Back to Petty, to Steiner.
And a kind of behind throw. Eifert just not able to make that. And Yen says, I got that D. Hannah to pick up.
Hannah's got Yin up, striking up line. Oh, and a little bit behind Hannah there, and another turnover. Starting out this half with a long, grinding point here. Might be a big momentum shift if the Sidewinders can punch it in. Up the Lippincott. A hand. Oh!
2 players collide there, Eifert and Zhang.
That's likely going to be a dangerous play on Eifert. Clearly unintentional, but sort of laid out maybe before she saw the defender in the space.
Yeah, it looks a little tough to know. Yeah, because Zhang had already made that contact with the disc before the 2 made contact.
You can kind of almost envision Eifert's eyes following the disc and not seeing Zhang until she was already sort of committed to that.
In that space,
yeah.
Looks like the 2 are kind of taking a pause.
And again, this is by no means intentional. It's just sort of one of those plays where not seeing that person who's already occupying the space might be construed as dangerous. And there's the card, so they are ruling that's a dangerous play.
I think the goal there is just make sure this game is safe for everyone on the field. Looks like neither are taking a point off, so it looks like both will remain on the field.
Despite a lot of contact, it looked like it was actually not a very sort of dangerous or injury-prone bid because a lot of the contact was sort of torso to torso while they were already ground-bound, I guess.
Yeah.
Astra disc.
O'Connor's going to pick up. Let's see if Astra can punch this in now. They've had a few turnovers already at this point. Looking to attack the break side, but it's not there. Dishes to Hannah, back to O'Connor. Who's going to shoot it. Same third, and Lippincott gets there.
Cody Lippincott with the Sidewinders D.
There just seems to be a bit of a disconnect for Astra right now on offense, doesn't there?
Yeah, I think it can't tell if it's a little bit of pressure behind being down a few points. Little wind. Definitely have some energy from the home crowd tonight. Tonight is college night or college day for Astra, and they've invited a lot of their college teams to kind of come watch and support their local LA team. Lots of players and folks associated with Astra who coach college. And when we get a quick chance after play, Steiner with a big punt, we can kind of go through and give folks some love for helping out with their college teams.
Great Astra pressure leads to the turn.
So again, I mean, nice flow by Arizona, but they didn't make too much ground. A great layout catch by Eifert a few passes ago, but they ultimately ended up with no options and had to punt the disc away. But there's clearly some explicit strategy here for Arizona that they're being told when there's a high stall, just punt it, especially when you're going downwind. Make the other team, Astra, work the full field to score upwind. O'Connor's got the disc. She cuts through the middle of the field. I believe that's Yin or Sang. It looks like Yin. Swings all the way to Grimshaw. Up to Hannah. Makes a nice grab with some flourish and flair. Over to O'Connor.
And with this extra long point, it looks like Arizona is putting on a junky look, moving away from their person D. LA now running away with it. A couple passes between Weaver and O'Connor.
O'Connor's got up the sideline with someone in space deep.
Zhang's in the space, and we'll bring it in for LA. You have to feel really good if you're LA after this point. You can hear the crowd behind us, and this was a long point, using up much of this third quarter here. If you're LA, you really want to make sure you capture that.
Really a dangerous point in terms of game flow for LA. If they get broken there, their entire O-line's going to be gassed and unable to play the next point.
So this was our play earlier in the game.
Don't forget to get your raffle tickets at the merch tent.
O'Connor had made a deep pass.
If you're looking to buy a house,
kind of said no.
Ethan Leco at eleco@gmail.com.
Great diving catch there by Eifert, and then here's the final scoring pass. Arizona just not able to find it fast enough, and Zhang in that space makes it look easy at the end.
I like the decision by saying to actually stretch that defense of the zone, and the zone had been so condensed because Astra wasn't really threatening deep that they fell asleep and gave that opportunity for Astra to score quick. Even when they're going upwind, I think Astra needs to continue to do that so that there's more space for them to work in the underneath part of the zone as well, right?
And sometimes that comes with even just personnel. I think, LA definitely relying on their hybrids, and sometimes that means it's tough to then push or maybe stretch the field. Arizona making quick work. A diving catch there by Applegate. Another diving catch by Chang.
Back to Applegate. A little bit of a disconnect here. Right? The cutters are a little too far downfield, but Applegate breaks it open with that nice inside pass to Maxfield. Back to Applegate for a gainer. To K-Spa, back to Applegate.
It does look like downfield there is a call, potentially a pick.
You can see a lot of these Arizona Sidewinders players, their cutters, especially when they catch the disc, they're really not even looking to continue downfield. They're just trying to find Chang or Applegate, work it back to their trusted handlers who they know are going to sort of drive the offense.
And they truly have, in finding kind of consistent cutters like Maxfield downfield. It does look like another call. Some stoppage of play.
Good call.
At the end of this, it does look like K-Spa is kind of stranded in the middle of the field. No defender nearby, with Maxfield having the disc. With that pre-stall, though, defense able to kind of reset. And Maxfield finds Applegate in the middle of the field. Applegate back to Maxfield, back to Applegate. Inside shot. Great finish grab there by Gazelle. Gazelle finds Applegate. Arizona doing a great job just being patient, like you've mentioned before, Sam. Just finding that trusty thrower. Hammer up. Tons of players in the area.
A nice D by Brown there. Looks like she might have rolled over the Arizona player that was already on the ground, unfortunately.
Does look like maybe calling an injury there.
It looked like a clean D live, but let's see.
Yeah, maybe the contact happened after kind of the follow-through of that play. On the field, it does look like Maxfield is going to take a substitute for an injury. Looks like Lippincott coming on field for Maxfield.
It almost seemed as though Brown got the body positioning for that block, and I believe, as you said, it was Maxfield who kind of laid out to try to save it, and as she fell to ground, she was right behind Brown and ended up kind of inadvertently tripping her, causing that contact to her head. So I think it's probably the right call to have it be Astra disc there. Pretty clean D there. Oh, and Astra, another miscommunication, and it's going to be a goal. Applegate with the heads-up play to go airborne before the catch and dive into the end zone.
Score is now 8 Astra, 11 Sidewinders.
If you're Arizona fan, you have to be pumped up. Again, this is great heads-up play. Definitely have forced a couple of first throw turns. Just able to intercept that. Kind of knew where the throw was going, and said, "I'll go take that score."
So one thing Astra seem to be doing in this reset system is they're driving the first dump up line almost automatically sometimes, and they're doing that to get into their handler set earlier, I think. But what the result has been so far today is that they're not hitting that first reset, and so their second reset is coming late. And so they're basically constantly playing with a high stall count, which is leading to a lot of these pressured throws, pressured decisions that maybe they wish they had back.
And Arizona doing a great job of kind of capitalizing on those errors, making very short work of that second point of this half.
And Arizona's coming back in that zone. It's been very effective for them so far. Let's see if Astra can start to figure it out. O'Connor swings to Swift, who, unfortunately bobbles and drops the disc, giving Arizona a short field. Eifert picks up quickly. Swings it to Trepp, who breaks around to Eifert with a nice break throw and continues for a break. It looks like that's Melissa Merrick for the goal.
Arizona up 4. I think LA doing a kind of resettling as their O-line kind of jogs back to play some more offense.
Now 8 Astra, 12
Definitely,
Sidewinders.
if you're feeling the momentum, it's definitely seems on Arizona's side. Just the bobble there.
The quick pickups after these turns for Arizona have been very effective. They're trying to play offense before the defense is set. This is something that San Francisco had a lot of success with against LA in the first game of the season, where LA was a little bit slow transitioning from offense to defense on these short field turns, and they're able to get some breaks before the defense really gets set. These can be really deflating, don't you think, Skipper, where there's just sort of a run of quick breaks in a row?
Yes, if you're LA, I think in the same way they can be deflating for LA, it is kind of this like momentum of just mindset for Arizona. A slight collision there as defense gets set, but no call.
Hannah swings to O'Connor. They're in that zone again. Centers it to Weaver. Back to O'Connor. Over to Childress. LA doing a good job dishing and swinging, but they're not finding that yard-gaining pass after the swing. Arizona doing a good job of containing the downfield threat after the swing. Centers to Hannah. Then over to O'Connor. Dishes it to Hannah. She's got Weaver in space. She hits her. There's no continuation. Back to Hannah. Over to O'Connor. You can see the LA offense is so condensed inside of the zone shape. They're really not doing much to stretch that last layer of the Arizona zone, and it's creating these types of looks, right, where you have to throw up a trust shot. If you throw it to Jasmine Childress, it just might work.
It might, and they have thrown to each other so much this season that maybe there's a little chance of, hey, let's go make some magic, and let's get us back on the board.
Again, the success is coming from stretching the zone with a deep cut and a shot to space. And I like that for LA because they have these dominant isolation cutters in Weaver and Childress and Yin, who's a great deep cutter. Why not put them one-on-one in space and see what happens?
And you can see here on this replay that Childress, while a great player, doesn't have that much separation. Not until the disc is closer. Maybe there's some contact there, but definitely a trust throw. That's a knowing your teammate sort of play that just works out for LA right there.
I think one thing that Childress excels at is having great body control, establishing good position, and basically boxing out in a legal way where she's not using her hands or anything like that, but she's putting herself between her defender and the disc and making it impossible for them to make the play without fouling.
Yeah. And on the other side of the disc, she's great at doing that on defense too, kind of making sure she's using her position to try to earn the disc back for her team if need be.
Yeah, absolutely. Looks like a little bit of maybe a match defense where LA was poaching off of one player, and now they seem to be tight in their match person defense. Applegate breaks it to O'Connell, who is going to shoot to Jack Salustro, but they can't connect.
And this, I think, is if you're LA, looks like they're taking their second to set up. Feels like a golden opportunity at 9-12 LA to really get a chance to kind of come back in this game. But we'll see if Arizona's defense has anything to say about it. Agawa to pick up.
They run that same play that they ran earlier. It's going to be a timeout. And an excellent timeout call from the LA coaches to save possession as they turn it over.
Absolutely. I was going to share, it looks like Maxwell was marking Agawa there before the timeout was called. Good to see her back on the field after injury.
Mm-hmm.
We love to make sure that folks are able to come back and be safe in doing that.
You mentioned that this is a great opportunity for LA to sort of change the momentum of the game. If you look at these two teams this season, they're they're among the bottom of the rankings in terms of their hold percentage, which means that both teams have really struggled thus far to convert on offense, which is partially a byproduct of just sort of losing games, right, and losing by large margins. That's sort of reflected in the stats. But what it should tell both of them is that this lead is not necessarily safe, right? There are going to be turnovers. The difference thus far has been that Arizona's converted. It hasn't been that their offense has played flawless frisbee. It's really that LA hasn't been able to find that magic and string breaks together like Arizona has. So a 3-point game here. If LA can get this one, Arizona's going to be playing upwind offense, and Astra will probably feel like they've got a little bit more of the momentum.
Absolutely. And I think this whole game, you're right. I think there's only been a few points in which they've been scored on one possession holds this whole game. So in theory, like you shared, this could really go either way with still lots of game to be played as we're late here in the third quarter.
Working towards getting her private pilot license. Cool.
It looks like an O-line for Astra is being put out there with the addition of Pagella from the D-line, which I think is a smart move going upwind. Pagella's a savvy veteran handler who's very, very good against zone and junk defenses, so a good kind of person to have out there as a release valve.
Looks like Arizona coming out in a slight junky set.
Nice break to Pagella, swings it. Gazelle's coming and makes the block. I mean, the ground that Gazelle just covered, she was poaching over the top to take away any deep options. The disc is thrown to her player on the far sideline, and she covers the ground to get the block. That's really impressive.
And still makes it down about 20, 30 yards downfield to set up for the offense. Arizona is swinging the disc wide. Maxfield will find Dunn.
Up to Eifert. Back to Dunn. Little disconnect here. They're far from their cutters. And they lasered into a tight window.
This matchup here of Gazelle and Yen will kind of each provide at least one block so far.
That is a matchup of pure speed and athleticism, isn't it?
A nice inside chop by O'Connor to find Weaver. Weaver kind of fakes enough to mark, to move the defender.
Oh, let's see if Pagella can come down with it. Dunn has a better read on it and gets the block. Weaver a little unorthodox there to throw the backhand instead of the forehand huck. I think it was a good throw to space, but it made it more difficult for Pagella to read, I think.
And it helped defense there as Dunn, kind of came back from a kind of poach off a player to help with that defense. Arizona making quick work. About almost half field now.
Applegate to Eifert.
To find Garrett. I think Garrett has a little high throw to Maxfield. Maxfield able to roll it in.
There's a call. Looks like perhaps a pick. If you're Astra, something that you might consider for the last stretch of this game in the fourth quarter is trying to make some of these Arizona cutters throw downfield instead of hitting these quick resets to the handlers that are so comfortable getting open for those passes. It's something they might consider if they want to try to generate some higher pressure looks. And we're back in play here. Swings it around to Dunn. To Applegate, who throws it around to Lippincott. She's going to continue it to Eifert for the goal. So this was just an Arizona hole with a timeout in the middle, but still a big point for the Sidewinders to stop momentum for LA.
And I think kind of a nice feeling going into this very last quarter of the game. Up a couple points. Like you said, could be really anyone's game, but if you're up by a couple, you kind of feel good going into the next quarter. So great block again by Gazelle. Just able to kind of read the disc and pinpoint it right before Yen's able to make a grab. But Yen says, actually, I'll take that back. Nice inside shot there by O'Connor. And the throw, where Dunn's able to just kind of read the disc a little bit better and get position.
The merge sets to claim your prize. 9, 5, 2.
Looks like a little bit of a broken switch there by Astra to create that breakside throwing lane.
3, 4, 9.
You can see it here. Pagella goes, but a little bit too late on the communication where Childress doesn't set the mark. She's following as well and opens it up for Applegate.
7, 3, 6.
No one person's fault, just sort of a miscommunication about the switching and the timing.
Yeah. And not be able to put that mark on that kind of protects that half of the field that your team is expecting you to kind of cover.
0, 8.
Well, we are about to start the fourth quarter. Arizona 13, LA 9. At the beginning of the game, we talked about the implications. I think if you're San Francisco and you're looking at this game, as you get ready to play Arizona next weekend, you want to make sure you come out on top. LA has played San Francisco twice now, one loss, one win. So I think if you're Arizona, you want to take care of business this quarter. If you're LA, you want to come fired up because you won't be playing next week. And you'll wait until week 8 to play at the Wild Wild Weekends. Well, they'll play Colorado and Utah.
Four-point game here. Sidewinders 13, Astra 9. It does feel that the way that this game has been flowing, that the breaks might be coming in twos with the wind, and so you might think about this if you're LA as sort of, hey, we need 2 sets of breaks, right? And make it into sort of more manageable chunks here. I think they've got to feel a little bit better about how the last few minutes of that third quarter went than the rest of the game, where they've really been able to generate more defensive pressure, force more turnovers, and I think the main issue for them is just the sort of offensive system isn't really clicking right now. So we'll see if they can string some breaks together. One person who's been very quiet on the D-line's offense this game for Astra is Meredith Bile, who's been the goal leader, probably one of the best athletes on their defensive line. Let's see if they can get her involved after a turn and use her legs to attack deep.
And even as someone who's usually creating the turns for Astra, as Arizona struggles to find a receiver and then is able to kind of swing it off.
A tight window, and it's just too far. It's going to be Astra disc. And it looks like a quick pickup from Naomi Guzman to Brown in the middle of the field. She breaks around to Halverson. Biles going deep. Back to Brown in the middle. To Helm, nice inside shot. Back to Brown. Around pass floating up.
And it does seem like this possession, LA is kind of taking advantage of those resets before finding Agawa upfield. LA a little more confident, taking a look,
Nice.
finding players. Great footwork there by Guzman to kind of find that lane and a lefty backhand there.
Martinez back to Guzman, out to space. Oh, just too far. And Astra really looked more poised there, you're right, on that possession, but just couldn't quite string it together. Everything was sort of moving through the handlers still, maybe some front of the stack action, but it seemed like their downfield cutters were still a little bit too far from the handlers to be viable with this wind. I believe that's Garrett's got it now. Swings it to Chang, to Lustra, excuse me. Up to O'Connell. Garrett's open on a flare cut. Has Gazelle in space and is going to shoot. Agawa's in the vicinity. Oh, and their legs get tangled up. It goes over Gazelle's head. What do you think, Skipper?
Looks like there's some discussion. I wonder, as we get another look at this shot, it does look like Agawa kind of trips and then kind of forces Gazelle down to 2. I wonder if the conversation now is possibly around incidental contact. maybe Agawa's, maybe just asking if Gazelle thought that she could still have made a play on the disc regardless of contact. There's another shot. It's kind of both go down. It looks really close to Gazelle's hand. I think there's definitely an argument to be made there that possibly could have been caught.
They're going to send it back. I think I would have agreed with you there, Skipper, that even if it was a little bit incidental, that Agawa clearly sort of affected Gazelle's play on that.
They talked to her after the game about that.
So it's going to go back to Garrett. Let's see if they can put some pressure here on the sideline. Looks like Brown's wrapped pretty hard. Tight inside to K-Spa. Dishes it to Salustra. Up to O'Connell, who's going to break around. Bile gets a piece of it and knocks it out of bounds. It's not a goal.
We were just talking about Bile kind of making some plays. And there for that quick second, we thought there was still a goal, but knocked it far enough out of bounds. It looks like there was another possible call.
Looks like an injury, perhaps. Lippincott is coming on, I think.
And Gazelle is taking a step off. Looks like LA will keep their line with Guzman picking up.
Again, I think with this upwind that they might be a little bit too far stretched downfield in their initial positioning. Seems like a call is going to maybe bring this back from the middle of the field. Might have thrown before the pre-stall had elapsed. Up to Bile. Throws it to Halverson. She's got Brown, and she's going to shoot. Looks like Martinez is in the area as well. 3 Arizona defenders.
We're seeing this wind kind of carry it for a second. Just big pile up, just not able to come down with it.
Martinez made an aggressive play to get her hand on it. Just couldn't quite grab it. K-Spa to O'Connell. High stall, but Chang gets open up line.
A couple of deep cutters for Arizona. Chang decides to look off, and well, we'll send it.
Throwing to K-Spa. And a great grab. Their legs get tangled up. It looks like there might be a call or there's a stall.
Yeah, it looks like there's a stall in the throw, and then there might be some discussion of whether or not K-Spa was in bounds. But great focus there by K-Spa to make that play regardless of contact by Astra. And some limping.
Really great focus.
Whether seeing this option or not, kind of throws it up there. We see Bile down on the ground.
Looks like a contested stall. It's going to be coming back in on stall 5, so another high stall. Chang will probably look to be aggressive downfield again, I would expect.
Finding the handler up.
Back to Chang, and there's lots of space. Looks off Landry and throws it to the break side of the field. Agawa comes down with it. One of the leading block getters for the Astra. Picks up another one here. Throws it to Guzman. To Bile.
LA trapped on this sideline now, looking for options. And there might be a timeout there called by Astra.
It's interesting. That was yet another moment where the Astra reset system was out of sync. Bile catches that up line, and Guzman is in that spot to be the first reset, but instead seems to clear downfield, sort of too deferential maybe to the far handler, and Bile gets stuck in this high stall situation with no viable cuts.
On the trap sideline, kind of leaving even less field space. I think a good call by Astra. Again, knowing we have about 8 minutes left in the game, and these opportunities are going to come fewer and fewer now, and so wanting that time to reset.
And it was one of the best
some highlights here.
That does sound really fun. It does.
And so, yeah, if we look at this is all the same point. It's been a long point for both of these squads. Just a little bit long, too long of a throw for Guzman.
Has a dog named Pika, short for chicken, picada.
And this was kind of this contested call we talked about earlier.
Great ultimate player, but
The grab out of bounds. Garrett looking a little bit upset about that one.
needs to work on those skills.
And you're right, Martinez got up there, just not able to kind of collect on that pass. Now another 2 players collide. When you look at this, it's really hard to imagine this was all the same point, but both teams really working hard here.
We're about to step back in, and LA sent out their offensive line, really probably hoping to get the score on this first possession, make it quick and easy so that they can work the other way, but they turn it. Hannah behind Weaver, and Eifert's going to take the shot immediately to Petty for the score.
For an easy transition score there for Arizona. It looks like that throw from LA maybe just didn't come off as intended. A little behind or in front, depending on what player was the intended player. Most of that O-line kind of jogging back now for the next possession.
At 7 minutes and 40.
Yeah, you're right. It just stuck to the hand there. It almost seems like Hannah was partway between Weaver and Grimshaw and just sort of had the disc stick on that backhand follow through. I think if you're Arizona, that could not have gone better for you.
Yes.
Run the clock and score.
Absolutely. And the clock at some point, kind of like the sidelines, can be a tricky thing. So can the time. So can the time when you have less than 8 minutes left in this game.
Eifert with the pull. Looks like a standard O-line for Astra. No switchovers as far as I can see. Nice pull on the sideline, and they're coming down in that zone that's been giving Astra trouble. O'Connor's picking up. Swings it to Swift, to Weaver, to Pritchard. So right off the bat, you can kind of see Astra shifting their offensive structure in this zone. More players around the disc in the handler space, maybe hoping to let those dump swings turn into shorter gainers downfield once they switch the field.
Oh, change of space, able to keep the disc inside and inbound, excuse me. But you're right, a lot of players kind of around the disc. We can see, I think even base now, we have a couple of cutters that are quite far, possibly trying to open up the space for these kind of hybrid throwers. It looks like maybe a miscommunication there. Is able to catch that pretty easily. Childress puts a mark on. Looks like a high saw count from Steiner, but able to kind of throw the disc in space.
Nice D by Astra, but I like the look from the Sidewinders. Might as well take a shot on goal when you have the chance, and worst thing that happens is the clock keeps running and Astra has a full field to go. Sidewinders in that zone again, it looks like.
A little over the top, but Pritchard able to grab it there.
The field balance and anticipation for Astra is just a little bit off here, right? They're getting these swings, but there's 2 or 3 downfield players in the same vicinity and not really moving. A nice shot through there, just an execution error by Childress.
Steiner's to pick up for Arizona. Looks off a cut from Eifert. Big shot. And just able to read that perfectly.
That might just do it. If LA is going to have any hope of a comeback, they're going to have to figure out this zone quickly, which they've not been able to do so thus far. Looks like a D-line is getting sent out by Astra. The offense is having a hard time clicking. Pritchard and Childress not on the same page there. It didn't look like Childress really had space there, I don't think, when Pritchard made the decision to throw it. There's a defender in the way.
Yeah. And then when you finally do get it through, just like you said, execution error by LA. And then here, great position. And in the space, just kind of floats up a little with the wind, and Eifert just does a better job there of reading the disc and hauling it in.
Really nice throw by Lippincott. I mean, it's a tough same third shot, but the touch and the fade on that disc made it hard for Yin to make a play. Let's see how the Astra D does against this zone.
So well into Astra's half of the field. Able to swing up to Agawa now.
And Sidewinders are back in it. Nice through to Bile. To Brown. To Pagella. They're dishing it back and forth. Again, the poppers are a little disconnected. There we go. They find Helm in the middle. Finds a nice space. To upfield to Bile. To Helm. This will be a big point for Astra if they can convert. Gives it to Pagella. They're in their end zone set now. Swings it to Helm, unmarked. She's shooting wide. To Bile.
A little bobble, but able to kind of hold it in. And that's, if you're LA, that's a great point. It's a great hold. You don't waste that much time on the clock. You're able to kind of bring this game back to a manageable margin.
Cam Helm was one of the players to watch for Astra this week, and she really came through on that point. They really had a hard time finding those poppers in sync with the disc swinging laterally to actually get through the zone, and Helm found a great space that opened everything up and let the Astra offense really flow past the first and second layer of the zone.
In a way that they hadn't been able to do that before.
Bile gives the disc a big hug after the
little bobble scare. Yes. Securing that in the breadbasket there.
She's a doctor.
I think if you're on the Astra D line, you've got to be feeling a little bit fired up, right? You went out there for the up window and you played clean offense, and now you're on the field after being off for a while as your offense struggled. Let's see what they can do with it. Let's see if they have a little last push here at the end of the game to make it closer.
A great pull into Arizona's defending end zone. Arizona set now to have to work the full field. Disc with Maxfield. Maxwell looking for a dump in Applegate.
Lose a lot of yards on that, and they turn it short field. Let's see what Astra can do with it. I believe that's Guzman with the disc. Centers it to Helm. I believe that back to Yin. She's working back to Helm. Nice contained by the Sidewinders here. Helm has no real option, so she's going to shoot inside to 3 Astra players.
Oh.
Just too far.
Just a little maybe miscommunication, a little zippy there. Good chase there by No, but just not able to bring it in.
It's a similar issue, right? There's a break side reset. It's not open, and Helm really doesn't have a second option except to just try to make something happen with that inside floaty shot to space.
Great initiation cut there by Landry. Gets Arizona kind of started on the sideline now, but able to swing it off. Takes the big swing over there.
A little too far for Chang. She stays with
second
it.
attempt and able to gain lots of yards there.
Shoots to space, maybe a high stall there. I think Astra should probably try to get this going a little quickly here. They're pretty far downfield, a little bit disconnected from that thrower. If this first reset doesn't get it, they're swinging to the middle of the field. Helm comes from downfield to get that disc. Poaches on the live side from Arizona, opens up that break side shot, which I believe No. Shoots to space.
Clem trying to gather it in, but she's not able to do that. We mentioned time sometimes in that sideline, and it will come and get you. Applegate now to pick up for Arizona. Again, Applegate doing a great job is just kind of sometimes being that on-field quarterback, letting folks know that, hey, it's a little windy. We got to make sure our throws are more secure.
Great, go ahead. Great sliding catch by Landry up to K-Spa. To Maxfield.
And Arizona looks like they have taken this time out. I think we have a little bit of time left, and I think recognizing that's been a long game, lots of long points. I think each quarter has had a couple of points that have just gone on and on. I think recognizing that this is time to take a timeout and really kind of hone in on this point if possible.
Well, it feels, I mean, we're winding down towards the end here. It seems that this might be a bit too large of a lead for LA to come back from, and really the story of the game is twofold, I think. One, the Astra O-line just hasn't been able to figure out that Sidewinders zone. And on the other side, the Sidewinders, who have this far have had some issues converting breaks, despite getting a lot of chances, have been pretty efficient with the disc, all things considered. Astra's D-line offense has not been able to figure it out, hasn't been able to connect.
Correct, yeah. Arizona's on turns. I would love to know those statistics out there. I'm sure there's the stats folks taking thank you to the volunteers, I should say that first, for being down there to take stats. But Arizona's had a couple of great break opportunities where they picked up the disc and they able to convert that into a score really efficiently, whereas you're right, LA's had some struggles with that over the course of this game.
Yeah, even with that short field one that happened earlier this point was a case in point, right, of the issues that Astra's had. They have great positioning. They work their end zone set in a pretty disciplined way, and then end up stranding the thrower and have to take a tight, difficult shot.
Now with the short fields, Arizona, Chang set to pick up.
Some help for Astra off of that ISO cutter.
Arizona comfortable with just kind of losing some yards and changing the field perspective.
Foul called. So Applegate's got it. There's no reset at the moment, but Chang is looking to come back to help. Gets a nice throw to space.
And kind of almost right where they started this point. Throw upfield, just not able to grab it in. A diving attempt by Applegate, giving LA another chance to have to kind of bring this point diff down. And I think we've kind of shared this 2 minutes. I've seen crazy games. Could this happen? Absolutely. But I think if you're LA now, you just want to treasure the disc that you have, see if you can put a couple more points on the board and prevent Arizona from putting a couple more points on, and see if that helps you later on in the season. Because for LA, there's so much more game. And such a great block by Max Fields.
Wow, Max Field, fully horizontal for the block.
1 minute, 40 seconds remaining.
Applegate was a break, but Guzman able to read that really well. LA out of timeouts now, so they're going to have to play through. And a big shot there by Brown into space.
Maybe a bit of a frustration shot there from Brown. Not really. I mean, there are players in the space, but no one really actively cutting or with separation.
And Caseball kind of able to read that, a little bit better than some of the Astra players in that space.
It's been a frustrating day for the Astra offense and for the D-line offense. Phoenix, Arizona has done a great job of stifling and taking them out of their comfort zone. Great bid by Brown.
The Browns might take an injury after this. I think Brown kind of saying, I want that disc back. And going to take a moment.
Weaver's going to come on. Hopefully Brown's all right. Hopefully it's just the wind knocked out of her after that great layout bid attempt.
There's that bid attempt. Brown just kind of being able to read the offense really well and just makes that attempt. Recognizes, hey, something's not feeling right. I better take the time. Caseball on the sideline, able to find a outlet, and Garrett looking for a dump, finds one in Applegate, who just really has been a solid rock this game for Arizona. Applegate over to Max Field, center of the field. The two kind of played back and forth.
We're under a minute now on the game clock. And Sidewinders seem very content to just work it back and forth, be patient, run that clock.
Drew some fakes. Finds Chang around. Chang will go for the end zone and finds, no, it would have been K-Spa. About 30 seconds left. in this game, and Arizona definitely feeling like the momentum, really since the second half, has really been on their side. They were the first kind of team to get a few breaks outside of Astra at the very, very beginning of the game. Since then, it's really kind of been momentum on Arizona's side.
Maxfield comes out of nowhere, fully horizontal, nice safe bid as well, avoids body contact.
And that big throw is a K-Spa kind of needing to get rid of it, and then K-Spa finding the end zone there.
You know, that point was so patient from Arizona, and it just kind of reminded me of their offense being so handler-centric. Applegate and Chang really feel like they've been in total control of this game's tempo and haven't been made that uncomfortable by Astra's defense. Maybe with the wind and the conditions, that more handler-centric take on Bertstack was a more appropriate play or better suited for the conditions.
I think the fact that they always, a player like Maxfield, I don't think is on this point, but just he was able to kind of a scary downfield receiver with speed, kind of has been giving her some extra unders. Great grab there by Hannah. Up to Yang. Time has expired, and this will be, I think, the last possession of the game as time expired in that point. Unless we are mistaken, maybe potentially time
Sidewinders 16.
It does look like maybe time expired during the turnover, so this will be the last possession of the game.
Steiner's going to shoot.
Steiner says, well, let's make it exciting. Finding a great receiver in Dunn. Dunn's looking upfield, not marked.
Patience by Dunn, finds Stellar. Over to Petty.
Powell in the middle of the field. The great dish to Steiner. It looks like there is a call on the field.
Maybe an injury for Maggie O'Connor. You hate to see that, especially at the end of this game, where the outcome is basically decided. Hopefully O'Connor's all right.
And O'Connor had a great game for Astra. The first half, 3 assists, 1 goal. Had another assist this half as well. It's tough when your team isn't always the one scoring to get those stats in, and definitely made an impact on this game for Astra.
Well, Arizona's going to come away with a huge win here on the road, salvaging a 1-1 weekend after losing to San Diego last night, and most importantly, really, I think keeping their playoff hopes alive. They wouldn't have been eliminated if they had lost this game, but their path would have been pretty unlikely, I think, and maybe not fully in their control. With this win, they are putting the pressure on San Francisco and LA to take care of business in their remaining games.
And a great grab there by Powell, just outside of the end zone.
Dishes back to Dunn. Oh, and a nice D by Hannah to end the game.
To finish the game there.
Great D from Ava Hannah.
When you look at Arizona's season as we kind of close out this game, they've had some impressive wins, and now a win against LA. They originally had a loss to LA. They've beaten Seattle, I think, giving Seattle its only loss of the season. With one more game left, Arizona will face San Francisco next week. And you have to think that, again, any of these in-conference games are really going to start to add up as we get closer and closer to the end of the season. Big win for Arizona.
With this win, I mean, it's increasing the likelihood of, or the possibility of a 3-way tie between these teams, which is how it shook out last season with Arizona winning the tiebreaker. And, I mean, this Southwest Conference in its first season proved to be very interesting for that second spot behind San Diego.
Absolutely. I think for any fans from last year, remember, there was kind of going into that last game of the season, there was all these potentials. If LA won by X amount, if San Francisco won by X amount, if Arizona, who wasn't playing, just had to have San Francisco win by a margin small enough, it would have been Arizona, and that's what happened. And so you do wonder if as we get into the later weeks of our season, if that's something that could, these point diffs, right, a win by 6, is that really going to help Arizona down the line? Knowing again that they play their last game of the regular season, I believe, next week, was LA takes a week off and then goes to play in the Wild Wild West against Colorado and Utah.
And thank you again for our college teams for showing up.
Well,
today.
if you're LA, maybe you can convince yourself that you're more of an away team than a home team. 0-2 at home and 2-1 on the road thus far this season. So hey, maybe a road trip to Utah might be the best thing for this team right now.
Yeah, and I think and it's sometimes different conditions. We talked about this before. Arizona coming off of a game yesterday might have offered them some advantage. LA just maybe had a fast kind of come out of the game and just wasn't able to kind of match Arizona's efficiency at times.
Nice hoodie, G-Tom.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the Arizona offense was really impressive today, weren't they?
Absolutely. I think when I think of, we see Lippincott on the screen. Lippincott had a great a game. I think we're actually going to see a Lippincott play, easily play of the game, where she's going to read that disc, able to kind of bid the defense. Is going to pop right out of this layout, and you'll see the score here from a diving score. Not many times you see a player bid, kind of push off the ground, and then have to do another bid at about 4 seconds later for the score. Easily play of the game here. Some other great players from Arizona. We talked about them before, but Chang and Applegate in the backfield really kind of quarterbacking this offense for Arizona. And you mentioned never really having trouble getting open, getting the disc to where they need to go on the field. Landry is a great downfield cutter, but able to kind of, again, multiple assists this game, helping Arizona, taking the weight off the handlers to have to then distribute the disc to the downfield players. I think for LA, if you're kind of looking at this game, still lots of games left in their season. Now at a 2-3 schedule, or 2-3 record. Thank you. They still have chances to kind of flip this around based on the rest of their season.
Yeah, lots of games left for them to play. I think it adds to the importance of that last game against San Diego, which they probably had circled on their calendar as one that they hoped wasn't a must-win. Might be a must-win now. Going back to that Lippincott play, it really seemed to be a momentum swinger, right? The moment where that Astra offensive set that they'd been relying on almost every point sort of got read by the Arizona defense, and from there, the counters that Arizona threw at them really seemed to take them out of their comfort zone and blew the game wide open. So, props to the Arizona coaches and leadership for making those in-game adjustments and putting their players in a position to really succeed.
Absolutely. As we end this game, thank you so much for joining us. We did want to thank a couple of players we didn't get a chance to on air. For today's college night, you'll see a lot of college players here cheering on their coaches, their teammates, tons of players in the Astra community that coach. I don't know if I'll get through them all, so I do apologize. We have Malia Smith, who coaches UCLA Midas. We have Hanny and Caitlin Weaver, who coach Burning Skirts. Tons of alumni from these programs as well. We have some coaching staff in Punky, Killebrew, some players and practice players who also coach USC Hellions. Occidentals represented, Cal State, Long Beach, No Regrets is represented, and a men's team in UCLA Smog, coached by none other than Felicia Yang. So lots of great representation here tonight. I think this is Sam and Skipper signing off. Any final words, you think?
No, it's been a fun day of Ultimate, and we hope that y'all had a great day spending it with us. Happy college night from Citrus College in Los Angeles.
Absolutely. Sam, it was a pleasure. Thank you.
Yeah, you as well, Skipper. Have a good night.